Hello all, welcome to the SecurityTube GNU Debugger Expert course and certification. My name is Vivek Ramachandran. I am the founder of SecurityTube and basically the person who's been doing all this alphabet soup series of courses, SWSE, SMFE, SPSE and now SGDE. So what is the SGDE? Now, many of you probably already know the GNU Debugger as GDB, as it's probably more popularly called. And this course is about how you can effectively use GDB to debug programs, maybe even find security vulnerabilities, probably even exploit them. The whole idea, if you've probably taken any of my mega primers, is to start from the very basics and slowly go to the advanced usage and level. Now we will use multiple platforms, x86, ARM, if time permits, probably others as well. And we will try and look at both open source as well as closed sourced binaries and how you can debug them with GDB. Now, the whole idea is to give you an understanding of doing runtime analysis on Linux-based systems where you can go ahead and look at what the program is doing, manipulate the whole program flow, disassemble key parts of the binary, understand it to some extent, and then even reverse engineer applications and try and crack them depending on what the scenario is. Now, it's important to set the agenda. What we'll try to do is take simple examples in the beginning, couple of hard ones later to understand the GNU debugger or GDB, right? This is not an exploit research or reverse engineering course. We'll probably take up those topics in a lot more detail in other courses, which I'll probably create this year or the next. Okay, so why? Before you even begin any courseware, the big question is why. Now, runtime analysis of a binary yields extremely important information from a security perspective, as well as from a functional testing perspective. Now, basically, if you understand what's happening in the binary at all times when it is running, you understand how to subvert security protections. You probably understand how to find bugs, and on the other side of the fence, basically even how to analyze malware and other malicious programs. Now, there are tons of videos probably on Ollie Debug, the Immunity Debugger, and all of that. I've personally not seen very easy to understand, video tutorials or even text tutorials on GDB. Now, I'd like to stress that the official documentation is huge, but definitely not beginner friendly in my humble opinion. And this is where this course will try and introduce GDB to you in an easy to understand manner and then slowly take you to advanced usage of GDB on how to analyze binaries. Now, probably all of you are already wondering, is SGDE free or is it a paid course and certifications? Now, I'd like to mention that September 2011 is when we started SecurityTube certifications. So this month marks the anniversary of SecurityTube certifications. I'm also very happy to announce that we have students from over 60 plus countries with us today. Thank you very much, guys, for going ahead and taking our courses and certifications. And of course, an even bigger thanks to the community members who always supported us. So SGDE is going to be an entirely free courseware to celebrate our 1 year anniversary. And an itsy bitsy small minor reason is also that in September I have my birthday. I'll leave it to you to figure out when it is. So SGDE is basically a free course. There is one small catch though, right? So All the videos are going to be free on SecurityTube. Watch them, enjoy them. Hopefully, it'll be a fun and interesting experience. If you want to download the PDF of the slides which I'm using for every video or the code snippets, I'd probably like you to do one of two things. So if you like the video, want the slides and the code, you can tweet the video link, or you can probably register for the course at an absolute, kind of jaw-dropping $50 to take the exam, certification, and all of that. Now, I leave it to you. Just to give you an example of how this would be done, the link below the video would take you to this page where if you want to download the PDF slides and the course code snippet links, click on tweet the video. This would show you two simple steps. The first is tweet this video link. Click on that. Don't worry, it doesn't go and automatically do it. It would simply open up a little share link via Twitter, where there are two links. One is to all the free SecurityTube mega primers, and the other would be the specific video you're watching. That's it. You need to tweet this and to follow SecurityTube on Twitter, right? That's all we ask. We always send out interesting updates on various things, so hopefully you will enjoy following SecurityTube. Once you do both of this, we have an automated system in place which will check for the tweet, check for the follow. If you're already following us, well, you don't need to do step 2. And we'll send you the link to the PDF and the code for that video via a direct message on Twitter, right? Typically within 24 hours. The other option, if you'd like to support us so that we can keep putting out all this free courseware, would be to register for the SGDE. Registered students, of course, can get high quality video downloads, the original ones, which I actually upload to YouTube and others, where the quality because of compression goes down a little bit. PDF slides. You also get access to a mock exam, and after you give the SGDE certification, we'll send you a PDF copy of your certificate. Right now, the point I'd like to mention is I'm going to finish all the videos of SGDE this month, September. So registered students would get incremental updates till then, which is whenever I put out a new video, you'll actually go ahead and get the link to the video download, PDF, code, and all of that via email. Anyone watching this probably in October or later, as soon as you register, you'll get access to the entire video set, the PDF, code snippets, and all of that as one big single download. Okay, so I'll leave it to you. People in the community, you can go ahead and tweet. People who can probably afford to support us a little bit more can go ahead and register for the course and certification at just $50. Okay, coming back. We'll also put up all the details of the SGDE certification exam on securitytube-training.com probably sometime next week, so check it out. The exam will be 2 questions to be solved in 4 hours, and this would deal with how you can use GDB to uncover security bugs and vulnerabilities. Okay, awesome. So we've gone ahead and kind of done all little administrative stuff about the course. So now let's actually dive into the actual courseware. So in part 1, basically is course introduction and debugging basics. What is going to be our lab setup? Now we'll be using multiple lab machines. In the first couple of videos, I would actually be using Ubuntu 32-bit 12.04 LTS desktop, right? And I would encourage you to download and set this up yourself. I've done it in VirtualBox. You could do it anywhere you can. Later on, we'll take 64-bit, again Ubuntu, and then, okay, wait for it, ARM, right? Probably the Debian version, which we'll try and run inside QEMU. And we'll look at how we can use GDB on those embedded devices such as your iPhone and all of that as well, right? So let me show you how my lab setup looks like for the first couple of videos. Here is my cute little Ubuntu machine. I have just installed it. So there's nothing else right now, just bare minimum install. And in this video series, I'm going to try and do everything through the GUI. I'm just kidding, right? I hate GUI, so I have to switch back to my text terminal. Before that, probably we need to go ahead and install SSH server. So let's go ahead and do that. The reason I'm going ahead and doing this on video is people who probably wanting to follow each and every step may want to go ahead and install SSH, or they could still continue to work in the graphic terminal with the GUI, whatever works for you, right? There are a couple of other things we need to install as well, specifically bin utils, make, and all of that, GCC, and of course GDB. Now some of these already come pre-installed. Now at the very same time, I know some of you may want to follow this entire video series probably on some other flavor of Linux, right, or even Unix for that matter. So if you do that, ensure that you have at least all of the following installed, right? So remember, you basically would need build essential, right, make, and then after that probably glib. If I spell it out right, yes. The dev version probably would be good, and this should be it. Right, this is going to install a ton of stuff, so let that continue. You needn't worry. We already have our SSH terminal. So what we can do is, let's figure out our local IP address. So I am running VirtualBox in bridge mode, and I can just connect 1.11 as my IP. So now let's go back to my little lovely text prompt. 192.168.1.11, right? Oops. So I've used this IP address a bunch of times. Let me just do the quick thing, because I wouldn't want you guys to wait while I go ahead and edit my known host file. Really don't have much there. So there you go. Okay, so we are in. I need to update my system, but here we go, right? So this is going to be our little base system which we're going to use for the next couple of videos. Let's go back to the slides. Now, before you begin any course, such as a debugging course, the way I've created this courseware is to ensure that if you're absolutely new, even to the world of debugging, you'd probably be able to follow all of this. So the first question, of course, is what is debugging, right? Now, debug basically is debug, which is removing bugs from software, right? So in a very, very simple way, it's basically the art and science of finding and eliminating bugs in software. Now, it's important to note that these bugs could be functional bugs, which is the software not working as per the desired specification, or it could actually be security or misuse bugs and vulnerabilities, right? What is a debugger? So we said, GDB, GNU Debugger. What is a debugger? Now, as you can imagine, that if there is a program, you have a binary, and you want to analyze it for software bugs, well, you would require another software which can actually help you analyze all of this, all of what is happening in that binary which is in question. So a debugger is basically a program which can analyze and help debug other programs. Now, you may have heard of a couple of debuggers already, GDB, IDB, SoftIce, WinDBG. Now, I probably wouldn't get into too much details, but you could have, debuggers which are running in user mode and kernel mode. So soft ice is basically a kernel mode debugger. Uh, we'll see if we can tackle a couple of these later on in other mega primers. Okay, fantastic. Now let's go ahead and create a very simple C program and try and understand about debugging, right? So C would be the primary language which we're going to be using. Let's go ahead, go into our directory. There we go. So by default, even Vim is not installed, right? Oh, that's interesting, right? But vim.tiny is, which probably will do as well. Let's go ahead, main.c. Let me type in something extremely simple, right? Hello to the world of GNU Debugger. Right on. Let's go ahead and simply return 0. Right? So let's compile this simple program. So let's have main.c. Right? Fair enough. Hopefully there's no typos. Let's run the program. Hello to the world of debugger, right? Let me kind of format it a little bit better, so we can have a bunch of new lines. Right, let's compile it again. And there you go, right? Fantastic. So how do you begin analyzing this program with GDB, right? The simplest way would be GDB and actually go ahead and give it the program. Now we allow GDB to load, and what is this, right? It says reading symbols from home SecurityTube SGDE video 1 main. This is of course the executable, and then it says no debugging symbols. Oops, right? This is not good. Let's get back. So the obvious little question is, what are these debugger symbols in the first place, right? So when you have a binary, and a debugger, as we said, is the program which allows you to analyze that binary while it runs, it actually goes ahead and looks into the program. It does require some additional help so that it can describe the program in a much better way when you're analyzing it. And this is what debugger symbols allow a debugger to do. They basically provide information about variables, functions, and a bunch of other stuff about the binary in question. Now, debugger symbols themselves can be part of the binary, which is at compile time, you can tell GCC or any other compiler to go ahead and create a debug binary, which includes the debugging symbols, or debugging symbols can be shipped separately as a separate file, which can also be used with GDB and with many other debuggers, right? Okay, so let's strip off some of all of this complexity and try and understand this in a very simple way. Now, if this were basically no debug symbols and you want to go ahead and describe a man, then this would very simply be, well, he's a man, he's young, and he knows programming, right? And if you probably describe someone with just these 3 keywords, nothing much is known about him, right? Now, with debug symbols, typically this would translate to, hey, this is a man, his name is Vivek, he's young, he's 20, I'm not 20 by the way, and he knows programming, which is C and Python, right? So as you can imagine, with the debugging symbols, the binary is more understandable and readable from the debugger's perspective. Let's now dive in a little bit more deeper into these debugging symbols. Now, typically, you need to explicitly mention at compile time that you need to add debug symbols to the binary. Now, the symbol files itself actually are of various different formats. The popular ones include dwarf2, coff, xcoff, and stabs. Now, I would probably not get into the details of the different, debugging symbol file formats and all of that. It's really not required because most of the time GDB and all other debuggers do a fantastic job and reading the symbols, correlating them with what is there in the binary, and helping you out at the right time to analyze all of this. Now, if you want to go ahead and enable debugging with GCC, the compiler, you would have to use the -G option. If you use the -G option without anything else, GCC will go ahead and use the operating system's native format for debugging symbols. Now, if you specifically want to go ahead and compile support for GDB, you need to use the -G GDB option to compile the binary with symbols which GDB probably can understand best. So let's go ahead and compile once again. So let me go ahead and go out of GDB again. Let's go back to the compilation option. And in this case, I'm going to go ahead and give an additional option G and then GDB. There we go. Now let's actually go ahead and open up main. Actually, let's call this main. Let me actually compile the old one just as main no debug, right? And we'll compile this one as main with debug, right? So let's open up main with debug. There you go. And fantastic. So it says reading symbols from blah blah blah, main with debug, which means it was able to load all the debugging symbols inside main with debug. Awesome. Right? So now we have the debugging symbols as well. Now that's all for this video. What I wanted to do is introduce the course for people who probably done a bit of debugging and all of that with GDB. I really understand that all of this would be very basic for you. Plus, hang on there. A lot of interesting things are going to come along, right? For people new to all of this, hopefully I've gone ahead and gotten you started with GCC and GDB, right? I would really recommend that you try each and every example, which is shown here. Post your questions, I'll try and answer them. I'll request all other community members also to go ahead and help me answer questions. And guys, once again, if you need the slides for this video, the sample code here, of course, is a very simple main.c. If you need both of them, please go ahead, click on the link below in the description and tweet the video, or if probably you can afford, register for the course and support us. So that's all for this video. See you in the next video where we will talk about, hey, what's up with these symbol files? What's there inside them? And what can we really do with all of that information? Thank you. Have a great day ahead. Bye-bye.